What's up, friends? Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thanks so much for being here today. Hope your holiday week is going well. Hope everyone is safe and happy and healthy, enjoying what should be a good day of sports. We've got some World Cup, we've got some NFL action, so should be an enjoyable day. Make sure to participate in your traditional yearly Thanksgiving pizza. I know I will be, but enough about that. We've got a lot to cover with the Packers. First of all, they did make a roster move on Wednesday. They picked up Justin Hollins off of waivers from the Rams. It makes a ton of sense for a team that is desperately in need of some edge rusher depth at the moment. Always been a fan of Hollins coming out of college. Definitely has experience playing on the edge and gives Green Bay their most experienced edge rusher outside of Preston Smith right now. They have JJ Enagbare. They got Jonathan Garvin on the 53. Now they add Justin Hollins to the mix as well. So a nice pickup there for the Packers, who will give them some edge depth for the remainder of the season. In order to make way for Justin Hollins, they release Patrick Taylor. I don't think there's a great chance that he gets claimed, so he should be back on the practice squad, and then they will have to make a corresponding move there as well. Some other notes. Caleb Jones, just talked about him yesterday, said I had no update, said I hope he was doing well. Well, we've got an update today. Caleb Jones was actually at practice, and they started his window to be able to return from the non-football injury list. Great news for Caleb Jones. Hopefully he can make it back. Not necessarily somebody who's going to probably be active and on the field this season, but still a player that was really impressive in training camp and preseason, and I'm sure they have some hopes for down the road. So getting him back practicing is really great to see, and that was a pleasant surprise on Wednesday. However, there were the usual plethora of players not practicing for the Packers. That was quite the alliteration there. David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Romeo Doubs, Devondre Campbell, Rasheed Walker, Rudy Ford, and Tariq Carpenter were not practicing on Wednesday for the Packers. So 7 players in total. It sounds like some of them may be illness related, so we're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on the injury report through the rest of the week. I'm recording this a little bit early, so I haven't had the opportunity to see the full injury report and designations as of yet, but obviously I'll be keeping you posted on that as the remainder of the week goes on. All right, that's going to bring us to our main topic for today. I know this has been a tough season. I know that yesterday's topic of the potential release of David Bakhtiari or having to move on from Elton Jenkins, depending on what happens there. I know those are not the most fun topics. Hasn't been the most fun season. I know this upcoming off season seems a little bit daunting as well. So it is Thanksgiving. This isn't going to be my hardest hitting episode ever. I apologize in advance. Just a little bit of fun. I wanted to go through 10 things that I am still thankful for covering the team this year for the Packers. So number one, let me just say it flat out, and I think it pairs perfectly in some capacity with yesterday's episode. The number one thing I'm thankful for this season is that we got to see David Bakhtiari play this season. That was not a guarantee. This continued to be an issue. It sounded like there was always hope and optimism within the Packers organization that Bakhtiari would come back and be able to play, but it just always felt like there was a lot going on there, and would he actually come back and be able to play? The fact that we got to see Bakhtiari again this season, I know it hasn't worked out perfectly for the Packers. I know it hasn't worked out perfectly for Bakhtiari, where he's had to come out of games and has had to miss some starts, but just being able to see him return from injury after all the work, time, effort, and energy that he's put into the season to come back and not only play, but play incredibly well since returning has been a real joy for me. Again, one of my favorite players that I've had the opportunity to watch in Green Bay, an absolute master and technician at his craft. And it's just a joy to watch him practice. It's a joy to watch him play. And I'm just so happy that no matter what happens this offseason, whether they do have to go in another direction or hopefully, he's back and helping this team get back to a playoff caliber football and being the all-pro caliber left tackle that he is, and his injury issues are just behind him. That would all be amazing. Either way, just the fact that we got to see him again, that he got to play again, and to me was one of the things I was really thankful so far for this season. Number 2 on my list is the 2022 rookie class. And listen, we've talked about the 18, 19, 20, 21 rookie classes not exactly being great in totality for Brian Gutekunst. The 2022 rookie class showing some real serious flashes. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. These players have to continue to develop. Josh Myers, his rookie year, looked like somebody who was going to maybe be able to take some major steps in year 2 and even get better. He hasn't. Eric Stokes looked like a really good player his rookie year, looked like maybe he would be able to develop into a star in year 2. He took a major step backwards. So just because we're seeing some of these flashes doesn't mean these players turn into Pro Bowl caliber players, but some really exciting stuff from this rookie class. Whether you want to go with Christian Watson and what he's done the last couple games, the 5 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs was on a tremendous pace for a rookie wide receiver within this organization before he had to go out due to injury. Quay Walker has taken some major steps even in the last couple games, basically starting from day 1. He looks more comfortable. He looks more instinctual. He just needs to put on a little bit more strength, get off blocks a little bit better, but some of the stuff that he's doing, he's calling the plays. I would say he's well ahead of schedule. JJ Enagbare, well ahead of schedule for a 5th round edge rusher. He doesn't look out of place as a starting edge defender in this league. And what he's already putting on tape is super exciting. Again, he's going to have to develop. He's going to have to put on functional strength as well. But some really solid stuff on tape already there for Enagbare. Zach Tom in limited snaps, still undersized, still also needs to put on functional strength. You're sensing the trend here. But his footwork is fantastic. His IQ is great. You can see him pick up twists and stunts incredibly well. There's a lot of ability there that you will love to work with moving forward. Would not shock me if he was a starter as early as next season. Even Samori Toure, 7th round pick, showing some real legitimate flashes that he could be a player that the Packers could develop moving forward. I would say all of those are super exciting. Devonte Wyatt, under 100 snaps on the season, certainly a level of disappointment there for a 24-year-old defensive tackle as a rookie. Hasn't had the impact that I think a lot of people hoped that he would, but what he has shown on tape has been promising, and it does look like he continues to get better every single week that he's going out there. The effort's there, the energy's there, just has to work on his technique. If he can do that, I still think Green Bay has a player in Devonte Wyatt, at worst case, a rotational defender moving forward, which would be a disappointment for a first-round pick, but I do think there's enough there that they can still get something legitimate out of Devonte Wyatt. And even Tariq Carpenter making some flash plays on special teams. And obviously a Rasheed Walker still has a potential, some potential as well. So this has been a very exciting rookie class. We could see even more of these young players as the season progresses if they continue to lose games and they want to get some of these guys additional snaps as the season moves along. But very, very excited about the state of this rookie class in 2022. Number 3 thing that I am thankful for, I know it didn't work out. I know they lost, and I know it was the start of a really bad trend on this season, but just seeing the Packers in London was a really cool experience. And you can look at it one of 2 ways. The one is that, hey, all the international fans got an opportunity to see the Green Bay Packers, see them overseas. I know a ton of people in London that this experience meant the world to them. On the flip side, if you want to look at it the other way, if you're just like, screw that, that was terrible and it started the losing streak, you can look at it as being thankful that they got the London game out of their system, the international game out of their system, and probably won't have to do it again for the foreseeable future. So I'm more in the camp of, I thought it was a cool experience. Even though they lost, there's a part of me that is disappointed that I didn't go. I probably made a mistake and an error in not going. I feel a little bit better since they lost that I didn't go, but overall, a really cool experience. From all reports and all indications is that it was an awesome experience for fans. I know I got a chance to talk with Aaron Nagler, but he went over there, it was phenomenal. The crowd support was amazing. So still a really cool experience for the Packers, and I'm thankful that that got to be a thing this season. Again, even if your take is at least it's over with, that's fine. It's still something to be thankful for, I guess, at this point. And let me just be clear here. Coming up with 10 things that you're thankful for on this Green Bay Packers season, not the easiest thing in the world. I am legitimately happy that they got to play in London, but just for the record, coming up with 10 things for this Packers team to be thankful for, not the easiest thing in the world. Number 4, Leroy Butler, Hall of Fame, and then obviously the Ring of Honor as well this past weekend. Really one of the true bright spots on a dark season. Being able to see him go into the Hall of Fame and get all of the things that he deserves as one of the all-time great Green Bay Packers, one of the all-time great NFL players, one of the all-time great safeties and defensive backs in this league. What he did in his era was nothing short of phenomenal, and being able to see him recognized for that has been a truly special part of this season. He's been such a huge part of Green Bay Packers culture, whether it's whether it's pick and save commercials as he does the shout out when he was on the field, whether it is on the radio, being a supporter of the team. Had the opportunity to talk with Leroy on the radio when he was doing his radio show. Like, he's just phenomenal at everything he does and is such a huge part of this Packers organization. So that is a huge thing to be thankful for this season as a Packer fan. Along with that, number 5, probably the best thing that's going to, or maybe at least the coolest thing that's going to come out of this season that I wish would have happened when the fans were there, because it was such a cool moment. The last day of training camp, just media at that point, no fans were at that practice. Larry McCarron was presented a game, basically a game ball at practice that was celebrating his 50th season with the Packers in some capacity, whether it be as a reporter, whether it be a part of the Packers.com organization now, whether it be as an actual member of the Packers, etc. 50th year with the Packers. It was a really cool moment. He got to break down the huddle, and that literally may have been the highlight of the season, unfortunately, but it was a super cool moment, and I'm sure amazing for Larry. So definitely thankful for that moment as well. Number 6, I'm kind of thankful, I guess, that this team might have an opportunity at a top 10 pick. It should be clear already that this team is desperately in need of some young superstar talent and just some playmaking. Well, one of the best ways to acquire that, especially when you don't have any free agent money, is to acquire it via the draft. This will be a very important draft coming up for the Packers, regardless of where they're picking, whether it's top 10, top 5, top 15, top 20, wherever it may be. It's going to be incredibly important. It's likely going to be a higher pick than what they're used to. Brian Gutekunst has been good in those situations when he's been picking in the top 20. He's got two players, Jair Alexander and Rashawn Gary. This team needs another home run. They should get another crack at that this offseason with a major draft pick. Again, potentially top 10. And yeah, even though the season's been pretty sucky, I'm going to be very excited with the draft capital that they will have going into next season. Number 7, extremely, extremely thankful that the Packers did not trade for Chase Claypool. A second-round pick would have been an incredibly high price to pay, and just don't think that would have been worth it, especially now. If all of a sudden Green Bay goes on, loses, a handful of more games, this could be, remember, Miami's got their first-round pick stripped away. Like, this could be a top, probably, it could be a top 40 pick, so that would have been a heavy price to pay for Chase Claypool in a season that clearly wasn't going anywhere. One of the biggest things I question of Brian Gutekunst, I know a lot of people down on Brian Gutekunst right now, the fact that they were offering their second-round pick straight up for Chase Claypool in this season, that might be the biggest thing that's like, what were you possibly thinking? So thank you, Chicago Bears, for beating out the Packers and going and getting Chase Claypool and offering a higher second-round pick than the Packers were able to offer. That ended up being a huge gift for Green Bay. And like I said, that has a real opportunity of being a top 40 pick in this upcoming draft instead of Chase Claypool, who's going to need a contract in the near future and probably just doesn't live up to that expectation, quite frankly, moving forward. Number 8, I'm thankful that this team is learning the lessons that they need to learn. Now, they have to actually learn them. This isn't a guarantee. This team has had some hard lessons on some difficult playoff losses, on special teams that they have yet to actually recognize and make amends with and actually fix. So they have to learn their lessons, but this team needs to be more physical. They need to respond to adversity better. They need to play special teams better. They need to block better up front. They need to be better in the trenches. They need to be better on third downs. Like, there's a lot to learn from this season, from how this team was structured, to the scheme, to how these players are playing. Robert Saleh basically said it best. Keep punching this team in the face and they're eventually going to fold. He didn't say that exactly, but that was the insinuation. They're right. And this team has to learn those lessons. They got to get better. Sometimes the best way to learn those lessons is through failure. This team hasn't had failure in the Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst era. They're going to have to respond to it. They're going to have to learn from it, but they needed this lesson, and hopefully they actually learn from it. That I will be extremely thankful for if that actually happens this offseason. Number 9, thankful to be a fan of this franchise. I know it is a downtime. I know it sucks right now, but like I said, enjoy the process. Sometimes it's going to be up. For 30 years, we got to see pretty much playoff football every single year. There's going to be downs as well. There's going to be things that this Packers team needs to learn from. Either way, I enjoy the process. I enjoy being a fan of this team. There's a lot of things that go right in this organization, even though right now it seems pretty darn bad. Like I said, they're going to have to learn the lessons from a very difficult season. I think they will do so, but it doesn't change the fandom. It doesn't change the passion. It doesn't change the intensity. I'm very much excited for this upcoming offseason to see what Green Bay can do and to see what changes they make to this culture, to this organization, and to the way that they're ultimately playing football right now. And then last but not least, number 10, I'm so thankful that I get to do this every day. For the entire Pack-A-Day podcast team, all the amazing people covering the Green Bay Packers that are bringing just insane content every single day that we get to digest and, really intake and make what we want out of it. It's a really cool atmosphere to be a part of. I enjoy being a part of it every single day. I appreciate you so incredibly much for allowing me to do this, for joining me every day. I'd probably be doing it if the numbers below me said like 5 views. Like, I'd probably still be doing this because I enjoy doing it, but it sure makes it a whole heck of a lot more fun when there's 200 comments and a bunch of likes and a bunch of people viewing it. It really does make it that much more cool. So thank you so much for being you. Thank you for joining me every day. And I hope you have an amazing holiday weekend. I hope you enjoy Thursday football, World Cup, whatever it is that you want to watch. I will be right back here tomorrow because we do this 365 days a year. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.